Alright, hi everyone, and welcome to today's vlog. This is Danielle, better known as AverageBlack Girl, and
I'm Dominique, better known as Lyric Star from Lyrics by Lyric.
So make sure you check out her channel. I will put her information scrolling below as well as in the description box. So me and Dominique go way back. We went to college together and we both have had experience in corporate America. So we definitely wanted to come together and create this video about negotiation. We both were talking, and negotiation is something that a lot of women don't do. As well as sometimes a lot of millennials. We get excited, a big nice corporation with a nice big well-known title and a nice brand like reaches out to us, and we take the first thing that they give us without knowing that there is a game when it comes to negotiation. So we want to talk about that today. So first question I'll ask Dominique is, okay, so you have an idea of where you want to go as far as working in a specific industry. For instance, Dominique works in advertising, so we'll just use that. What do you do? How do you start?
I think the first thing is, just having that exposure to the field in general. So for me, when I was in college, I tried to get my feet wet as much as possible. So I volunteered at different advertising events. I was talking to all the college professors about, different opportunities within the advertising industry. And then I think the biggest thing is trying to figure out where they are recruiting. So a lot of times there's huge events and seminars that are held that a lot of people don't know about, where they kind of talk directly to people who they want to recruit. So for example, I know the American Advertising Federation, they have this thing called Most Promising Minority in Advertising. And what they do is they have like a college professor nominate a student to come to this big 3-day immersion in New York, and they have like a 2-hour session where they have all of the advertising industry representatives from across the country actively recruiting those select students. So finding out about those type of opportunities is key, because then you're not just in the know, but you're there where they're actively going to be recruiting you. So I think for me, that was the key to kind of starting. And once you start talking to people, the industry is really small. Mm-hmm. So just yesterday, what was it, 2 days ago, right, we were at an event, and one of the recruiters for a company I work for now, she was recruiting me, I don't know, X amount of years ago when I was in college. And it's just a coincidence how everything comes back full circle, because once you start those conversations, you end up having the conversation with the same people as time progresses. So,
right. Okay, so now that we are in the industry, we are networking with people, we know exactly where to go and who to talk to for these businesses. Now let's say you get a bite. So a bite is when you are talking to someone that works in the industry that has ranks to get you your job. That can be an HR manager, that can be someone that was at one of these events networking. That can even be you submit your application online and now they hit you back. So first we want to talk about how to not underbid yourself. So what happens if you underbid yourself? Yes, there's a possibility that you will definitely get the job because you are making yourself cost less than everyone else. But the problem is when it's time to up negotiate and you start asking other people what they're getting paid, or you start doing research and seeing what the industry norm is, now you have an issue because they asked you what was your salary that you were going to offer, and they will give you just that, or they may even give you 30% less than that, because it's all about negotiation. So what do you do to make sure that you're not underbidding yourself? One of the things that you can do is you can go to Glassdoor.com. So Glassdoor is an anonymous site that other people that work in that company, that work in that same title that you're looking for, will tell you what they pay. And it shows what it is nationwide, or if the company is globally. So you can know that you're not underbidding yourself. Or if you can know if they are coming with you with an offer starting out, you will know, hey, this is at the very top, this is in the middle, or I'm getting really taken advantage of. Is there any other things that you would say?
I think that's right, right on the money. And we're talking about money. I think that you definitely want to make sure you go in, especially entry level, negotiating that first salary, I know it sounds difficult because it's the first job, but it's so important because think about it. Let's say you accept an offer for $40,000 entry level. Let's say that the average is technically $46,000. Now you're at a $6,000 like deficit, or you're lower than everyone else who may have taken the $46,000 and higher mark. So now as you progress through your career, I mean, you don't just get promoted every 6 months, you know. There's times where, you know, certain companies have promotion cycles where that can last 2 to 3 years until you get promoted. So you are locked into that salary. You may get a raise here and there, but there is no guarantee that you'll get that raise or that promotion. So when you're negotiating, you have to think, can I live off of this for the next, you know, 1 to 2 years until that promotion or that next job move happens? A lot of times I think that people forget that, you know, this salary is kind of like a representation of your worth, and you have to care about yourself, because one thing I had to learn was that a company is not going to offer you exactly what you are worth. So what I mean by that is, if a company is offering you $46,000, that means they probably have another $5,000 that they could offer you, because no company will offer you at the very top of their cap. Their accounting department just won't do it. I mean, you would have to be, you know, Bill Gates, like people with those type of titles, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They can have that leverage to say what they want and they just get in that step. But being smart and wise about it, you have to know and pick and choose your battles. So that's the advice I would have.
All right, so one more thing that I want to talk about while we're on the topic of starting salary and lasting the salary falling for the next 1 to 2 years. So a lot of times within corporations, they can be promoted faster. That does happen, but a lot of times they have a base where you have to stay in the job for 6 months, 8 months, 18 months at max sometimes, and then you can move on. So yes, are there exceptions to every rule? Of course. That's why there are rules. Rules are made to be broken. But what if that doesn't happen to you? That you need to look at that in that way. Am I okay with being in this corporation with this salary for X amount? And of course, during the interview, that's a great question to ask. That shows that you've done some of your research, but that's something to think about. Also, say that you do well, and when it's time for your end of the year evaluation, because everyone has it, and you get all stars across the board. Okay, so if you're starting at 40,000 and say the next person started at 45,000, and say that you get 5 stars and they get 4 stars, your 5 stars may just bring you up to where they started, and their 4 stars brought them up higher. So you're still playing catch up, because that's how a lot of companies do it. You may look online and they'll show, oh, this position is being paid at X amount of time, but they'll do some sort of internal calculation based on your starting salary, and you get less than what they are bringing in for people outside of the company. So that's why we want to talk about this, because this is not just a one-time thing. If you're in your dream job or you're in your dream corporation and you want to grow with them, this is something to think about. Yes, like I said, there are exceptions to every rule, but at the beginning, they're just going to give you the rules that they have in place. Why do they have internal calculations? The internal calculations was put in place to ensure that people, men and women, or minorities and majorities, that when they are being promoted, that they are given the same metrics. So if you do 5 stars, you will get a 10% increase. Let's just say that. So regardless across the board, if you get 5 stars and you do well, you will get 10%. Now, the issue that we haven't fixed is how much we are paying people in salaries. There's still a disparity in how much people are getting paid versus men versus women, versus minority versus majority, women minorities versus women majorities. It's disparities all across the board. So to alleviate that, we want to talk to you about negotiation. So now let's talk about, like, okay, you are offered the job. How do you negotiate? Do you accept on first bid? My answer is always no. No, absolutely
Always
not. No, even if it's more than what you wanted. So my story is, I had an idea that I wanted $50,000 coming out of college, and that's what I wanted. And it took me a while to get there, which is why I ended up in Florida. because that's what offered it. I could not get that amount in Chicago. I tried, I got real close, but it just wasn't that. And when I negotiated and they said, like, what all do I need? I needed $50,000. Now, what they did, though, they gave me, I believe, $47,000, but then they also gave me a car payment, gas reimbursement. I had other benefits that made it so that it was above $50,000. When I was done and I had a hiring group of like 3 people, I was talking to one of the other girls and she did not negotiate. And I was getting paid more than her, and she was older than me. She had more work experience than me. She came from other companies. We both were interviewing at the same time, but she was like 1 or 2 years older than me and had that experience. And when she was done, we were talking, she was like, dang, I should have negotiated. I should have asked for more. And you should. That's very important, because if you accept and you sign the dotted line, they will take it gladly. Even though if we're putting apples to apples, she was more experienced than me. She had 2 extra years of experience, but I was getting paid more because I negotiated.
Yeah, and I think you hit on a really strong point about just taking that leap of faith and just stepping out and seeing, what they say. What's the worst that they could really say? The worst they could say is no. Mm-hmm. I mean, they've already expressed interest in you. They already want you, and I think that's a part of the process that a lot of people forget. They have extended you an offer and drafted up a contract saying, we love you, we want you. And that's when you have the power and the leverage to then be able to say, if you want me, here are the stipulations to the contract you have provided to me. So I know from myself, I graduated from college and I had a job lined up. It was an internship actually, and they gave me a call about 2 weeks before I was supposed to start and said, actually, we have a full-time position that we would like for you to come in and interview for. It was at my dream company. I mean, I have been talking about this company probably since I was probably 12 or 13. Mm-hmm. And I knew I wanted to work there. So when I was extended the offer, to be completely honest, I didn't know what I was doing. I told them absolutely. I told them absolutely on a bus stop when I received the call. I said, absolutely, send me the email. So I accepted, and that was a huge mistake. It wasn't a mistake because the company was definitely reputable. Mm-hmm. I wanted to work there, but it was a huge mistake because I had not looked at the contract. I mean, we hear stories about artists all the time who have, gotten manipulated out of contracts because they're just so excited. You have to take away a little bit of that excitement and say, okay, but what does the paperwork say? Right. What are the stipulations? What's really in it for me? I'm signing up to work for a company where you're going to put in some hours, mm-hmm. a lot of labor. Make sure that you're comfortable with at least what's on that contract. So for me, I made a conscious decision to say I would never do that again because I was working at sometimes like 80 hours a week, and mm-hmm. I'm not a doctor by any means. So I think that you definitely have to take a look at the contract, make sure you're very comfortable with what's on that paper, and then go from there. Moving forward, I will say I learned from that situation. I started mm-hmm. to ask around. Mm-hmm. A lot of people around me were just, unfortunately, I want to call them yes men. They all were doing the exact same thing I had done. So I started to look elsewhere and say, who's negotiating? I know that people aren't like settling. Like mm-hmm. everyone can't be settling. So mm-hmm. for me, I found those, 1 out of a million people who said absolutely negotiate, and they helped me to craft an argument, a negotiation argument to be able to counter offers. And I think that's what we can kind of move into. It's like this topic of countering an offer. So you receive an offer. They say, hey, we want to offer you $75,000, 3 weeks vacation. Everything looks great. It's like painted and written in gold. What you need to then do is say, okay, they've offered me that, and this is a rule that I give everyone. I say just ask them for $5,000 more. That is a rule of thumb that I say, and it's never really led anyone who I've told that to astray, because if they're offering you 75, that means they have 80. Right. They won't give you 85. Maybe not. I wouldn't necessarily push it unless you have the facts to back it up, to say, I've done my research. Let's say they offer you that $75,000, and technically someone at your level should be getting 80. That means you should be asking for 85, $10,000 more. So it's always like a $5,000 increase from what they're saying they'll offer you, and if that still lines up with what's on Glassdoor, PayScale, all of those reputable sites. Also, for me, having a counter letter. A lot of people don't know that exists. Google it. There's tons of templates out there that are very generic. It's not fancy. It's 500 characters or less.
Right.
And you literally just say, hi, I would like to counter the offer. And just to take it a step back, make sure you express gratitude. This isn't a conversation where we're saying, no, this isn't good enough for me, I want this. You definitely should express gratitude and show the company that you're equally excited to be joining a partnership with them. But there's just a few little tweaks you want to make with that contract they're providing you. And I think once you do that, you'll get into a rhythm and you'll understand that in life you should always be standing up for yourself. And if you don't, no one else will.
That's exactly our point. And we are noticing that a lot of people are just so excited that they have a job. Because what are we told? Go to school, go to college, get a good job with good benefits. So now you have this good job with good benefits and you're like, yes. And then you get there and you're like, wait, I'm being underpaid. And then you're going to deal with, difficulties that just come with working in a corporate environment. We want to make sure that you're off to a great start, because ultimately this is your career story. It may take you to places that you never thought you would want to go, but you got to start on the right step, because it's like a domino effect. What you do now definitely will affect you later and your next generation. So we want to talk about that. I really loved how you brought up about the artists getting taken advantage of, because honestly, if we're being 100% factual, we're getting taken advantage of too, just like artists, just no one knows us. Basically, it's the same thing. You're working a lot of hours, you're getting underpaid, they can quit your contract at any time depending on if you have looked at that. That's another thing we need to talk about. So there's one thing about an at-will employee. If that works for you, that works for you too, but for me, that doesn't work for me. I don't like at-will employees. At-will employees means they can come one day and be like, we don't want to work with you anymore, bye. You can say the same thing too. I don't want to work with you anymore, bye. However, a lot of corporations don't work like that. You have to give notices. Some can say, I give you a 3-month notice. Some say, I have to give you a 3-week notice. Other ones will have to give you a plan. So they can't just fire you. They have to give you a personal improvement plan, which means that they have to sit down with you and give you 30, 60, or 90 days to improve whatever issue you have. If you haven't improved it by then you can get fired. That is more comfortable to me. I need to know if I'm getting pushed out. I need to know, because a lot of times, especially if you are the breadwinner, if you don't eat, your family doesn't eat. That's a lot of pressure to be putting on someone that has, a wife and 2 kids or 3 kids or other dependencies, parents, whatever your case may be. So that's one thing that you want to look into when you're starting to look for different employees. And they do put that we are an at-will employee. Before you even apply, you'll know. But that's what that is. And they didn't tell me that when I graduated. I kind of figured that out on my own.
Yeah, for sure. And I think just to bring it back to the whole salary thing, salary negotiation is so important, because if you do get laid off, severance, you have to be comfortable with, unemployment paying you X amount of percent of your salary. You have to be comfortable enough where you are able to maybe save something for a rainy day. So when those things come up, you'll be able to take care of yourself. I think sometimes we just think, oh, I just need to prove myself. I can't negotiate. I don't have the leverage. And you do have the leverage because you're being offered the job.
Yes.
That's enough leverage. At that point, they can't really say, the argument of you don't have enough experience. That's the type of argument you give someone when they shouldn't be applying for the job. And I think too many times we allow that to be a reason why we shouldn't be paid a little bit more. And again, this isn't a conversation to say you should be asking for the moon. We're talking about just your work. You know how much work experience you have. You know what's on these sites such as PayScale. Let's just get you what you deserve. Let's start there.
What everybody else is getting.
Yeah, exactly. There's so many people, and the thing about it is they know that no one's talking about this. We're not going to talk about our salary. If you're my equal in my company, we're on the same team. We're competing technically.
Right.
We're in competition. Who's going to get that